The passive sensor panel in the corner of my office had not registered a significant event in 11 years. When it chimed at 3:40, I did not move immediately. I had been sitting at the desk since midnight with the casualty ledger open to its final page, and for a moment I thought I had imagined the sound. I had not. The display showed an arrival burn signature, large, coordinated, the thermal output of multiple drives lighting simultaneously at the edge of the Cathori system. I pulled the data feed onto the main screen and counted the drive signatures until I stopped counting because the number had exceeded what I had expected. 340 warships, the Kelvin reckoning deploying on schedule. I looked at the open page of the ledger, name 604. The line was still blank. 14 years ago, I was the Deputy Navigation Superintendent for the Meridian Array, 44 orbital satellites that Earth had spent 19 years building and calibrating, a guidance network that covered every shipping lane inside the inner system. We were not a military installation. We were a traffic authority. The ships we guided were bulk freighters carrying medical equipment, agricultural inputs, machine parts, the ordinary cargo of a civilization that was, in the Bureau's own language, a Category 3 pre-emergence world. We did not know the Bureau existed. We did not know the survey vessel was in our system. Its observation sweep was classified as passive, which meant no active emission, which meant we had no warning before the interdiction pulse hit. The pulse lasted 4 seconds. In 4 seconds it collapsed the guidance lock on every satellite in the array simultaneously. The satellites did not fail. They were not destroyed. They simply went dark, all 44, as though someone had switched them off at the source. The survey vessel's sensor log, which I have now read several hundred times, describes the pulse as an automated environmental response to detected synthetic orbital infrastructure. A subroutine, pre-programmed, triggered without any Cathori officer making a decision. The vessel noted the pulse in its log, logged the infrastructure as further evidence of Category 3 pre-emergence development, and continued its sweep. We spent 72 hours trying to restore guidance lock. 312 supply freighters lost navigational assistance in that window. Most of them held position, dropped anchors, waited. 11 did not, or could not, or made the wrong call in the dark. 11 freighters attempted re-entry without guidance confirmation. I watched 7 of them from the observation deck of the Array Authority building, streaks of light across a cloudless morning sky, and I remember thinking they were beautiful before I understood what I was seeing. 604 crew. We submitted a formal inquiry to the Bureau of Interstellar Survey and Observation 6 months after the pulse, through the contact protocol they had published in the Galactic Registry. We received no response. We submitted a second inquiry 14 months later, with the full sensor log of the pulse event, the satellite failure records, and the casualty register attached. The Bureau acknowledged receipt. Their response was 2 sentences. The pulse had been an automated environmental response, consistent with Category 3 pre-emergence survey protocol. No apology was indicated under the relevant compact provision, as the world had not yet achieved Category 2 designation at the time of the survey. No apology was indicated. I transferred the complete file, both inquiries, both Bureau responses, the satellite logs, the freighter loss reports, the casualty register, to the Earth Fleet Survey Authority 18 months after that. I did not know what they would do with it. I was a civilian official in a navigation building on a planet that the Cathori Observation Bureau had not considered worthy of notification. I kept the ledger because someone had to, and because the names in it were real, and because leaving a line blank against a name felt like agreeing that the Bureau was right about what we were. The channel on the passive sensor was not passive anymore. The Kelvin reckoning had opened a broadcast on the standard compact frequency, and the signal was clear enough to read from my office. It was not a message from Earth. It was a data packet, the Bureau's own survey log from 14 years ago, the 4-second pulse entry, the automated environmental response notation, the Category 3 classification. Playing on open channel into Cathori home space, 340 warships at the edge of the system, while the Bureau's own words went out in all directions. I do not know what was said after that, and I do not need to. The Fleet Authority had been precise about one thing in the 2 years of preparation I had watched from a distance. The Kelvin reckoning was not there to destroy Cathori infrastructure. It was there to occupy the survey lanes, hold the approach corridors, and ensure the Bureau's senior officers received a complete copy of the casualty register, with an accompanying document explaining what Category 3 pre-emergence worlds do when 11 freighters fall out of a sky that someone else's subroutine darkened. I picked up the pen. On the final line of the ledger I wrote the last name Carries Mellon, second navigator, bulk freighter Ardenvale, lost on re-entry day 3, and set the date against it. I closed the cover. I put the ledger in the outgoing document tray on the edge of the desk, where it would go to the fleet archive in the morning. Then I went to the corner of the office and made myself a cup of coffee, because there was nothing left for me to do, and the morning was coming, and somewhere at the edge of the Cathori system, 340 drives were holding their position in the dark. The Bureau had called it routine observation. We kept better records.